Welcome to another episode of the Real Estate Podcast with me, Nico James-Bock, a realtor with Royal LePage Signature Realty in downtown Toronto. In today's episode, I'd like to discuss 5 things you need to know about today's GTA residential real estate market. So I'm going to be talking about the April 2023 TREB market stats. It's going to be a full analysis, which will give you an idea of where things stand for buyers and sellers in today's market. Just going to share my screen. Okay, and we can begin. Number 1, the GTA is in a seller's market. So a seller's market is a market condition characterized by a shortage of goods, in this case, housing, available for sale, resulting in pricing power for the seller. The main shift we're seeing as a result of the many interest rate hikes beginning in March of 2022 is that sellers are not yet in a position to dictate price like they were during the pre-pandemic years and briefly at the beginning of 2022. So November 2021 to February 2022. Number 2, prices are heading upward at a more moderate pace. The spring market is off to a healthy start. Buyer activity picked up earlier than was anticipated in the first quarter of 2023, pushing home prices up over the final quarter of last year. As a result, home prices in Canada are expected to continue climbing, albeit at a much slower rate than the last 2 years. Number 3, inflation is trending downwards. So the governor, Tiff McLaren, explains that higher interest rates are working to slow inflation, but warns that getting all the way back to the 2% target rate may take time. But the numbers show it is heading in the right direction. Inflation fell from its peak of 8.1% last year, 2022, to 4.3% in March 2023. We expect it will decline to around 3% this summer. Still, obviously higher than the target rate of 2%, but way, way better than the peak 8.1% of last year, and much closer, obviously, to the BOC's target rate. Number 4, low inventory attracting many buyers if the conditions are right. The April 2023 stats for the GTA show 1.38 months of inventory. In some macro and micro markets, that number is even lower. In some cases, under a month's worth of inventory. So if no new listings came to the market in the GTA, the stats show that after 1.38 months, we will be out of inventory. There'll be nothing left. And number 5, immigration levels are way up. So the 2023 to 2025 plan embraces immigration as a strategy to help businesses find workers. Obviously, all these workers are going to need a place to live. And most of them, those that are coming to Canada, will head straight to the GTA. It also aims to attract the skills required to fill key sectors, such as healthcare, skilled trades, manufacturing, and technology. This will help to manage the social and economic challenges facing Canada in the decades ahead. The main challenge, obviously, is where to house these new immigrants. So let's get right into the stats. The most important chart that I want to bring to your attention is the TREB average price chart. This is from January 2019 to April 2023. Please keep in mind that real estate is a long-term investment. You should look at a 3-year period minimum to see the gains over time. If you look at periods of declining value, they are very brief. In this chart, there are a couple of periods in which housing prices dipped. The first one in this chart is May 2019 to August 2019. Then it rebounded quickly in September 2019. If we jump all the way to February 2022, that is when we hit the peak. So housing prices reached the highest level they had ever been, just under 1.35 million, the average price, and that's for all housing types. Then the interest rate hikes started in March of 2022. So you can see the trend line dipping downwards, and in this timeline, January 2019 to April 2023, this is the longest period of declining average price. And that's simply because during the period from March 2022 all the way to January 2023, we had experienced interest rate hikes. So that made its impact felt in the buyers. They stayed away from the market, and the average price dipped significantly. So it started to level off in June 2022. So as in June 2022, buyers started to get accustomed to the new reality, the interest rate hikes, and prices leveled off for June, July, August, September, October 2022 and 2022. Then they started to decline slightly, starting in November and December, when there were additional interest rate hikes, particularly in December. Then in January 2023, it bottomed out. So average prices bottomed out at just under a million, $1.05 million to be exact. Then there was a rate hold. So the rate hold had an immediate impact on buyers' psyche, and they started to return to the market. We were starting the spring market, which is traditionally a very active market in real estate. So we see that in February 2023, we see the first increase in average price, and that has continued right through to April 2023, where we see the average price at just over 1.15 million. So generally speaking, real estate is solid. There's no other way to put it. This is a 5-year trend line, and it's clear that the vast majority of the time, real estate has been appreciating during this period. If we look specifically at the GTA market stats, we see that the average price in the GTA, so all GTA communities, averaged out at 1,111,213, which is a decline year over year, but still an increase over 2021. So if you skip 2022, which had the peak pricing, so the January and February 2022 numbers skewered the 2022 results, simply because of the peak prices that were obtained. So if we look at the breakdown of all home types, so condo and castle, castle being obviously the freehold. The average price is 1,153,269. So that's down slightly from 2021, but still 2022, but still up from the 1,090,000 in 2021. Yeah, in the condo corner, we see average prices of 724,118, which is an increase over 2022. Number of days, average number of days on market is 20. Number of sales, 22,266. The number of sales is important simply because we're seeing that the number of sales are increasing, they're trending upwards. However, the number of active listings is still quite low. So the number of active listings in 2023 of April, 10,373, which is down 20% from 2022 level, the same period last year, where we saw the active listings at 13,098. So things are heading in the right direction, but keep in mind that there's going to be heavy pressure from all of the new people that are coming into the GTA. So we're not really going to be able to keep up with the demand. That is the reality. That's the long and short of it. So it's going to continue to put pricing pressure, keeping us in a seller's market for at least the duration of the spring, leading into the summer and leading into the fall, which is the second busiest period of the year for real estate. If we go to the market watch, so the market watch is once again all home types, and it's this particular chart is from 2018 to 2023. Number of sales in 2023 up to April 2023, 7,531. It's still down slightly from 2022 level of 8,008, and significantly lower than the 2021 level. The number of sales in 2021 at this time in 2021 is 13,663. So almost half the number of sales that took place in April 2023 with regards compared to April 2021. Active listings, as I just mentioned, 10,373, down from 13,098 in 2022. Average price I talked about in the last slide, and months of inventory was also discussed at 1.38. The number of months of inventory is indicative of the ratio between number of active listings and sales. In 2022, that number was 1.64 months. In 2021, we went all the way down to 0.85. 0.85 months of inventory is extremely tight, and we're seeing that in some of the micro markets. So these numbers are important when you're looking at the big picture. The more important number in terms of average price, the months of inventory, active listing, is in the micro markets. So I will be giving you, I'll be providing for most of you at least, a CMA, which is a general comparative market analysis of similar properties in your micro market. That will give you a very good idea of the selling price of properties that are similar to yours. So less important is the list price. That's just basically an indicator of sellers looking to attract buyers. what the most important number is actually the selling price. So the selling price will vary. It depends on the area, it depends on the condition of the property, depends on the seller motivation, buyer motivation. So there are a lot of factors involved in the final outcome. The average overall selling price will give you a good idea of how much you could expect to receive were you to sell at this particular time. So those CMAs will roll out over the next 5 days. If you haven't received one by then, just reach out to me and I'll be happy to provide one for you. That wraps up the presentation. So those are the 5 things that you need to know with regard to today's GTA residential real estate market. Recapping once again, number 1, the GTA is in a seller's market. Number 2, prices are heading upwards at a more moderate pace. Number 3, inflation is trending downwards, so we are going in the right direction with regards to inflation. The next interest rate hike announcement will be in May, in the first part of May, first couple of weeks of May. We're expecting or hoping at least that it will be another rate hold, but keep in mind that the BOC is not still 100% satisfied at the current level of inflation. So they may implement a small interest rate hike. Now, if there is a small interest rate hike, that is good news and bad news, depending on if you have a variable rate or a fixed rate. If you have a variable rate, then yes, your rate will go up, dependent upon the percentage point of that rate hike. If, however, you are in a fixed rate mortgage situation, then any interest rate hikes to the overnight rate will usually mean that the fixed rate will go down. So that has been the case over the last year, basically. Whenever the variable rates went up, then the fixed rate will tend towards a decline. So, like I said, good news and bad news, depending on what kind of rate you have. That's number 3. Number 4, being low inventory attracting many buyers if the conditions are right. By the conditions, I mean that the fundamentals still have to be present. The property still has to show well. The property has to be priced very aggressively, particularly in this market. So you just can't slap on any price and expect buyers to be willing and able to pay that price, as well as other factors that you can discuss when it comes time to sell. But they're very, very important. The conditions are very important when it comes time to put your property on the market, as those conditions will determine whether or not you receive multiple offers or even the price that you want. And finally, immigration levels are way up. So there are a lot of people coming into the GTA, putting additional pressure on pricing and on inventory. So the challenge moving forward would be to find housing for these individuals and to request, to implore governments to implement policies and practices that will favor building new housing for these newcomers. That's it for this episode. You can always reach out to me through the various channels, as well as contacting me directly by phone or by email. My contact information is at the end of this presentation and available on my website. So enjoy the rest of your day, and I'll be in touch with you soon. Ciao, ciao.